Okay, so good afternoon again, everyone. So before we start, I would like to make a few announcements. One, everyone is expected to turn off their microphones unless called and permitted. Number two, the forum will be recorded. It is important for all participants to speak clearly for the camera. Number three, I would like to encourage everyone's active participation. So, again, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the online forum centered around ICT and Internet policy and regulations. I am Dwajarain Tabuklaon, your host for this enlightening session. Today, we have an important lineup of speakers who will navigate us through the complexities of various critical topics related to ICT. Before we delve into the heart of our discussion, let's extend our gratitude to our Almighty God through a prayer, to be led by Miss Patriarcha.
For those who are Catholic, please make the sign of the cross. Dear God, thank you for giving us the opportunity to gather here today. Thank you for protecting us as we traveled and providing an opportunity to meet, learn, and grow. As we begin our conference, we dedicate this time to you. We pray for the presenters, attendees, volunteers who made this conference possible. May you lend us your wisdom and knowledge so that we can make good connections and learnings about today's online forum. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So I hope everyone is ready and comfortable. If you are, kindly click the heart button. Okay. So all right, with these many hearts, I'm sure everyone is ready. Let me call on Miss Gastalo to officially welcome everyone to our online forum.
To our distinguished participants and honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with great pleasure and enthusiasm that I welcome you to this virtual gathering. Today, we embark on a journey of knowledge sharing, collaboration, and meaningful dialogue. As we connect from diverse corners of the world, let us embrace the opportunity to foster understanding, explore new ideas, and build lasting connections. May this forum be a space where insights flourish and conversations spark innovation. Together, let's make the most of this digital platform to create an enriching experience for everyone involved. Thank you for joining, and here's to the vibrant discussion that lies ahead. Once again, good afternoon.
Thank you, Miss Gustello. We sure felt warm and welcomed with your welcoming address. So at this point, let me introduce the speakers. Speakers, once I call your name, please open your camera. Miss Genevieve Carael, Miss Clarissa Miasco, Miss Sheni Sampang, and Miss Shaidel Cabildo. At this juncture, I would like to welcome the first presenter. Miss Carael, the virtual floor is yours. A virtual round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our instructor, Mr. Rondel Paraiso, sir, good afternoon. To the host, Miss Duesha, good afternoon. And everyone who is present for this afternoon session, a big good afternoon to everyone. Before I proceed to my topic, let me first share my PowerPoint first. Okay, is my the visual presentation can be seen, Miss Dwesha? Hello? Okay, I think so. Everybody is agree that this virtual screen is already seen. So for this afternoon, I am very overwhelmed and at the same time happy that I am one of the speaker for this afternoon session. So for this afternoon, all of the speakers are assigned to talk about the issues and internet policy and regulations. And for the first my topic is all about freedom of expression and censorship. So everybody is ready? Now I want you to react. A thumbs up if everybody's ready. Okay, thank you so much for the cooperation. Now let's start. Okay, so when you hear the word freedom, there were a lot of words coming into your mind, right? So freedom talks about, or there were a lot of definitions about freedom. Now, okay, um, freedom is all about without hesitation. When you say freedom, you are the free will. There is no one hindering. There is no hesitation beyond your action. And I think everybody is having this kind of aspect, which is freedom. Especially Philippines, it's a democratic country where we already exercise freedom. Now let's proceed to the next page, which is the main topic, which is all about freedom of expressions. Now, when you say freedom of expression, first of all, it talks about expressing ourselves, not just ourselves, but our ideas, opinions, and it is the right to speak, to be heard, and to participate in political, not just in political, but social life. It also includes the right to know informations, to seek, and to receive through any media or any platform. So this is all about showing your opinion through not just in media but also in the socializing world or in the country. So in the Philippines, we practice freedom of expression in different aspects, in different sectors. So let's proceed to the next word, which is censorship. Now, when you say censorship, I know you're familiar with the word censor. We can see this everywhere, especially on the social media platform, which is Facebook. So, censorship is the legal control or suppression of what we can be accessed, published, or viewed in the internet. So, if you're going to scroll on Facebook, no, there are images that are being censored, not just images but at the same time information, especially like the images with crime, bloody, those kind of images that is not allowed from 18 beyond ages. So that is censorship. Now let's proceed to the next page. Okay, so first, to combine the thought of freedom of expression and censorship, everyone, it means everyone has the right to communicate his or her opinions and ideas and share information in whatever form. So it is the willingness, the right to share your thoughts, no? There were countries, for example, North Korea, I know you're familiar with this country. They are restricted. They are being censored to when it comes to their media because the government holds the power to the whole restrict the media in order for the community not to have a revolution. Okay, so they don't have this kind of regulations and rights. So freedom of expression and censorship is present in the Philippines, and we are very proud of that. So I want you to react hard if we are proud of having freedom of expression and censorship in the Philippines. React hard. Wow, thank you so much. So we are very proud and thankful for that. Now, let's proceed to the next page. Okay, according to the Article 19, it is an international human rights organization funded in 1987, which defends and promotes freedom of expression and freedom of information worldwide. So freedom of expression and censorship is not just in a local, not just locality, but internationally. There are organizations who fight for this. For example, in the Philippines, we have the journalists, no, where they fight the rights of every writers, and not just if you are familiar with the if you're familiar with the Ampatuan massacre, where the freedom of expression is very rampant, especially in the news writers. It's because it is the time where the news writers was being massacred. So in that case, we have the willingness to express ourselves, and they are being support from the what do you call, the international organization that fights for freedom of expression in medias. Let's proceed to the next page. Okay, so these are the examples, some of examples of freedom of expression and censorship. Now, the individual first is the individual rights are given up in order to have access to electronic networks. Second, censorship, I mean, restrict the transmission of information by blocking it or filtering the information. And lastly, defamation actions may be used to silence critics. Now let's break down those kind of examples. Now the first example is, let's proceed to the next page. Okay, individual rights are given up in order to have access to electronic networks. So it is mentioned there, Microsoft networks. I know everybody is familiar with the Microsoft networks. We are the users of Microsoft networks. They provide protection of individuals like upload or otherwise make available files that contain images, photographs, or other material protected by intellectual property law. So if you're going to use a Microsoft network such as Microsoft Word, PowerPoint that is made out of Microsoft networks, it is very accessible with just copying the link and sending it through your chosen to the person that you want to send with. You can just copy the link and everybody can view and edit the link. Unlike with a Google Drive, if you're going to find with a Google Drive, you have first to allow the friend or the friend of your account, or they can just view it without editing. So there are differences, and this is one of the example where we practice individual rights to access electronic networks, and we're very thankful because it is very useful in our studies, especially using Microsoft networks. Now, this is very usable in terms of having our studies. Okay, now the second example is what we call censorship. So restrict the transmission of information by blocking it, filtering the information. So as I have told you a while ago, that censorship is if you're going to scroll in Facebook, especially images and informations, there are images that is being restricted. You have to click first to view the image in order to find out if you are 18 above. Especially in it is very rampant in Facebook. So the reason why they censor that kind of image is it's too harsh for the young ones, and especially informations. So as I observe, there are students that is not careful in posting their recognition certification, like honor and DLs. So there are times that there were times that we post it without checking if the signature of the person who put some signatures in the lower part of the paper is captured, and you post it online. So in that case, you didn't block the information. You are giving information to other people by just clicking the image. Okay, so as future teacher, we must be careful in that, because we are the role model of our community. We are the motivators in our community. So as a teacher, we must practice censorship, not just in it is present in the code of ethics, that not just for the sake of censoring the information, but also privacy. Okay, to have or allowing the person who owns that paper and ask permission first to post that kind of file. Okay, so blocking is preventing us access to whole area of internet based upon the block list of certain internet address, location, or email address while filtering is sifting the pockets of data or messages. So it is mentioned with Mom Libertad that as a teacher, she mentioned, I mean, that she is not fond of posting birthday celebrations, putting the dates, address, and at the same time, um, your personal information. This is the reason why, okay, there are bad peoples who use social media as their tool to bribery, stealing money on their accounts, and this is the reason why that we have to censor, we have to practice this kind of policy in order for us to keep ourselves safe from any kind of bad malicious. Okay, so let's proceed to the last example, which is defamation actions may be used to silence critics. So when you say defamation actions, these are tort of defamation includes both libel, written statements, libel, and slander or spoken statements. Statement common law and stationary law governs defamation actions, and each state varies in their standards of defamations and potential damages. So the law of defamation aims to balance the right of free speech in a community with the right to be protected from the attack on individuals' personal reputation in that community. So defamation, these are libels and slander. This is a freedom of where state common law it is mentioned. If you're going to observe that vloggers and social media creators are accountable sometimes of this kind of regulations because they somehow um, post some false accusations towards a person and you're ruining someone's image. So in this point, you already abide the you we have cyber libel. It is a kind of law where it is usually practiced in social media, right? So I know you are knowledgeable about that, and I'm very thankful. So as a future educator, we must be the role model and motivator towards our community to have a safe and beautiful environment, not just in our environment, but also in the internet and social media platforms. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have understand in my discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Miss Carael. You have shed light on the importance of freedom of expression and the challenges of censorship. Your words remind us the power our voices hold. So remember, with freedom comes responsibility. Let's exercise our right to express ourselves while respecting the opinions and rights of others. Now, may I call on the second presenter, which, Miss Miasco, the floor is yours. A virtual round of applause, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Especially to Sir Randel and Paraiso. Good afternoon, sir. So let us now proceed to the next topic, which is about privacy, security. But first, um, let me share our um, presentation. Okay, so ICT and Internet Policy and Regulations, Privacy, Security. Next, please. So we have here our subtopics. We have definition, examples, laws, and of course, the importance of privacy security. Okay, so privacy versus security. These two terms are commonly or often interchanged by many. Some people are getting confused with these two terms since they find it like almost the same or the meaning is just the same, but no, actually it has difference. It has a great difference. So now we are going to discuss the privacy security and its technical definition. So privacy relates to any right you have to control your personal information. So it is the right to control how your information is viewed and used. This is applicable in any digital tools that we are using, especially for many. The most common for this is Facebook or something or any social media that we use, and of course we put a lot of personal informations there, and it is our responsibility to keep our personal information confidential. Though in the previous group, Miss Zen said that we have our freedom of expression, right? Especially on in different medias and social medias. But of course, we should not compromise our privacy security. That is why we are the one who is responsible for managing and controlling our personal information. Do not compromise your privacy security. Now, security refers to how your personal information is protected. So you have put your information, your personal information, now you have to secure it. And generally, it refers to the unauthorized access of data, often involving protection against hackers or cyber criminals. I'm sorry for that. So that's very common because most of us we don't really think that they're inputting a lot of information online, which is unnecessary. Oh my God, sorry for the noise. Necessary. We tend to forget that there are effects. There might be effects on that. It could harm our lives, our families, or like that. So that is why we really have to be responsible in this. So that is why we have to talk about privacy security in this afternoon. So please, next, proceed. Okay, we have examples here for us to understand well. First, social privacy is the personal and sensitive information that people can find out about you from your accounts. And social privacy issues also involve privacy ethics. Not only it is important to have our privacy respected and protected, it is also important to respect and protect the privacy of others as well. So, please, next slide. In different digital use that we are using in indicating or in putting a lot of information, there might be people out there who have black agendas, like in the picture shown, we have there, it could be possible that we are giving people who have black agenda, we don't know that they are um, stalking to us. They're stalking, and maybe it could lead to a worse hacking. So we don't really put a lot of information online that is even unnecessary. So we should not compromise our privacy. So that's social privacy. Next. So data privacy is one way in which social privacy and data privacy combine to create issues. Is through the information we make public on social networking sites. Yes, this is very um, rampant and it's very common. And this is the thing also that these people don't really um, give attention, of course, and not properly controlling access to personal data. Implementing data privacy protocols involves controlling who has access to the data. Well, in Bukidnon State University, this is applicable also for students because we have our institutional accounts, right? So in data privacy, we have that. We have our records, we have our data, and in Bukso, of course, we have personnel assigned to keep our records confidential, so it's not transparent for all. Of course, for the faculty, for the instructor, for the administrators, they have a lot of records and files, and that should be kept and that should be confidential. So in this is very helpful, the data privacy, because those important details and important records must be kept. So next. So policies about privacy security within the country. We have the RA 10173, or the Data Privacy Act of 2012. It is to protect personal data in information and communication system, both in the government and private sector. Because there are a lot of digital tools that we are using right now, even in the government agencies, right? In offices, in different fields, not just in social media accounts or in for that entertainment purposes. Okay, thank you. So yeah, so that's RA 4200, the Anti-Wiretapping Act, an act that prohibits wiretapping and violations of the privacy of communication and for other purposes. So it doesn't literally mean the wiretapping, or let's not talk about Buseco, or that's it. But when you tend to overhear or overheard confidential information like communication of other people, you should not record it, because you are literally, or you're now actually violating the RA 4200, or the Anti-Wiretapping Act. That's very prohibited to record and rely information that are not even yours. Okay, so next, the importance of privacy security. So it prevents access of any unauthorized sources. It protects personal information. These are very understandable lang man, guys. Everyone. So gives trust and confidence. It's ethical data practices, of course. Preserves individual autonomy. Gives national security. And prevents cybercrime. Well, this is the most important, because there are a lot of news that we can see online or in television, national television, that reports of being hacked or got scammed. Of course, we have reports that they are scammed because of they give so much information online, because they indicate their numbers, especially on Facebook, because this is the most common when indicating and putting a lot of information, especially their mobile numbers. But sometimes we notice that there are unknown numbers who will call us or text us about this and that, about money, asking for money, and some are getting scammed or hacked, because we are giving too much information, which are unnecessary. So that's the consequence, the cybercrime. So protection from data breaches, of course, that's also one. Legal and regulatory. Next. So yes, that's it. That's important. So for the conclusion, on privacy security is a crucial aspect of cyber safety, and involving the right to control how personal information is viewed and used. So protection against threats or dangers. So all in all, privacy pertains to our rights and the control in terms of sharing our personal information. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Miasco. Let's commit to taking steps towards better protecting our privacy, whether it's using stronger passwords, being mindful of what we share online, or supporting legislation that values our privacy rights. For the third presenter, may I call on Ms. Sampang? A virtual round of applause, please.
Okay. Am I audible? Ayan, okay. Hello everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Miss Host, am I audible?
Yes, Shen, you're
Okay.
audible.
Okay. So, a pleasant afternoon, my dear classmates. Good afternoon to our instructor, Sir Del Paraiso. Sir, good afternoon. And also to our beautiful host, Blessurain Tabuklaon. Good afternoon. My name is Shani L. Sampang, and today I'm going to talk about surveillance and data retention. Next, please. So, yes, my name is Shani L. Sampang. I am a second year college student taking Bachelor in Secondary Education major in English. So, in this modern world, we are surrounded with so many technologies that is part of our life, from work to education down to our everyday life. And the evolution of this technology is undeniably powerful, especially in terms of their and especially in terms of their usage. So today we were going to talk about one specific functions of technologies that we had, which is the surveillance, and also the counterpart of it, which is the data. First, let us understand what is surveillance. So, accordingly, here, surveillance is used or deployed in terms of public safety and national security, as what we have known as CCTV or video footage. So here, surveillance is the monitoring of behavior, many activities, or information for the purpose of information gathering, influencing, managing, or directing. Data retention, on the other hand, is the practice of preserving a data for a specific period of time to meet technical, business, regulatory requirements. Or so any data that you stored is considered as is technically refining it. But the term data retention usually refers to the deliberate systematic ways in which you store or use and delete the data. So data retention is a process in which we store data, but not that too long. It follows a specific time frame, and it follows a certain policy, which what we call data retention policy. Next, please. So surveillance. Surveillance as we know it, there are a lot of debate when it comes to surveillance and also data retentions, because it raises a threats of our privacy or the leakage of our informations, and it is because surveillance also allows monitors, allows individuals to have a wide or to have a perspective about our everyday life, what we do, the things we do. However, surveillance also allows individuals, corporations, as private businesses, private sectors, and the government to monitor the actions that is happening in our society. So here, surveillance are commonly used in law enforcement. Diba, when we are traveling, we saw a lot of CCTV cameras along the way, and that help law enforcement monitor the flow of traffic, the actions in the public places, and also that helps them have an idea of what is going on and monitor every actions that the citizens or and also monitor those anomalies that is happening in our surroundings. So surveillance technology can include high-tech cameras. Diba? A lot of surveillance also range from a lot cheaper and more advanced cameras, and those more advanced cameras allows organization to capture a holistic perspective, that it can track a person, it can monitor an individual's behavior, and also there are surveillance camera that could use an artificial intelligence to understand or to have to predict what would a certain individual from the target of the or the point of view of surveillance would do next. Can you next please? So this is an example of CCTV footage. As you see, there are a lot of perspective that is taken using a CCTV footage. And with that, it allows an organization to have a perspective of what is going on. So whatever anomalies or whatever people would do there, it would be captured and then stored. And with that data, we can use that for future analysis, for investigations, and also to understand the movement that is happening in our surroundings. Next.
Shuiliang or Sharp Eyes project aims to extend and integrate video surveillance cities into villages and from roads into residential compounds. It aims to use artificial intelligence, big data and deep learning to analyze this mountain to work out who's doing what, where, and when, to track suspects and the people they associate with, and even to predict crime.
Yeah, so as you see, that certain example is a high technology surveillance that allows an artificial intelligence to monitor, to assess, and even identify those individuals that is captured by the camera. Okay, next please. So these are the examples of surveillance. We have CCTV down to the monitoring data, monitoring of data or and traffic on the internet. Next. So data retention is, as I have talked a while ago, it is the process of storing the data, and it can be used to store telecommunication records, website activity, video surveillance footage, government records. Next. So these are the benefits of these are the benefits of surveillance camera. It allows us to capture and also have an investigations of the crimes that is happening in our surrounding. I have to run fast because I'm running out of time. So let's see about the issues or the debate that is concerning about surveillance and data retention. So are we really safe with the with the issue circulating data as surveillance and data retentions? So there are a lot of issues which includes privacy invasions, because with that the surveillance monitors us our everyday life and store information about us, and that could lead for privacy invasions. Hacking also, a lot of organizations could be hacked because of the data that they had, the cameras that they had, and they can be utilized for another purposes, especially in the negative purposes. Also, they have data security risk, identity theft, and data leakage and data leak. Next, please. So these are the cases I've found on the internet that shows the concerns and the issues with circulating the topic about surveillance and data retentions. So to conclude, we data surveillance and data retentions are beneficial for us, especially with us in an organization promoting national safety, public safety. However, let us always be mindful of what we do, and especially in storing and data. And of course, we must follow a data retention policies in order to secure and balance both privacy and also security. And that, I think that would be all. Thank you. I hope you learned something. I'm sorry, I ran out of time, but I hope you really learned something from it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sampang, for opening our eyes to the challenges posed by surveillance and data retention. As we move forward in the afternoon's event, let's carry this awareness with us. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to call Ms. Cabildo. A virtual round of applause, please.
Okay, thank you, everyone. So good afternoon. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. Before anything else, please allow me to share my screen first. So is it visible now? Okay. So again, good day everyone, especially to our dear instructor, Mr. Rondal Paraiso. Sir, good afternoon. So today we will be discussing one of the most pressing environmental concerns of our time. So this is the e-pollutants from e-waste. So in this presentation, we will explore the environmental impact of e-waste and discuss solutions to mitigate pollution. So what is e-waste? So e-waste refers to electronic devices that are discarded or no longer in use. And did you know that according to the Global E-Waste Monitor 2020, there are approximately 53.6 million metric tons of e-waste that were generated globally in 2019. And this figure is projected to increase to 74.7 million metric tons by 2030. So examples of e-waste are discarded computers, smartphones, television, and other electronic appliances. So, however, what makes e-waste dangerous are the common pollutants found in them, such as lead, mercury, chromium, cadmium, and plastics, including PVC. So, in connection to this, exposure to e-waste pollutants can have severe health effects. So, inhaling toxic pollutants such as lead and mercury can cause respiratory and neurological disorders. And did you know that children in particular are vulnerable to the health impacts of e-waste? This is because they are more likely to come into contact with pollutants due to their behavior and the environments they are in. Next, e-waste also has a significant environmental impact. So toxic chemicals from e-waste enter the soil crop food pathway and are non-biodegradable. So these cause soil pollution and pollutes places. And again, these cause health hazards as I have mentioned earlier. So one solution to this problem is by having waste management. So how? Well, it can be done through recycling and proper disposal of e-waste. Proper e-waste management is critical to mitigate the environmental and health impacts of e-waste. So as we all know, this is essential to prevent the release of hazardous pollutants into the environment. More to that, there are also global initiatives and solutions that aims to reduce e-waste generation and promote responsible disposal. First, we have here is the Basel Convention. So this aims to reduce hazardous waste movement, and this includes e-waste. This also provides guidelines for people for environmentally sound management of e-waste. Next, we have the Electronics Watch. So this is an independent monitoring organization that is working together to ensure that electronics industry respects worker and the environmental rights. And lastly, we have the e-waste challenge. So this is a global initiative by World Economic Forum which brings together stakeholders from private and public sectors to develop innovative solutions to e-waste problems and promote sustainable practices in electronics industry. So to end this presentation, let me leave you this reminder. So what can we do? So we should always remember that reducing e-waste is not just about protecting our environment. It's about creating a sustainable future for generations to come. So that would be all for today, and I hope you learned. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for that, Ms. Cabildo, for highlighting the environmental implications of e-waste. As we move forward, let us strive to be more mindful of our digital footprint. At this point, I encourage our online audience to ask any questions or seek clarifications regarding the speaker's presentation. Please click your virtual hand if you have any. Yes, Miss Eliza.
So, good afternoon, everyone. So, first, I would like to congratulate all the speakers for doing a great job in delivering all of their topics discussed. So, I would like to ask a question for the fourth presenter who talked about the topics about e-pollutants from e-waste. So, Ms. Cabildo, you mentioned about recycling and proper disposal of e-waste. So, as students of today's generation, we are highly engaged in the use and possession of many different electrical assets. So what specifically do you suggest that we should do when time comes that our phones, iPads, laptops, and PCs would be expired and unusable? So what do you suggest that we should do in when this time comes?
Okay, so thank you so much for that question, Miss Mia. So as we all know, technology indeed really advances, right? So e-waste disposal becomes a growing concern. So my suggestion would be to dispose of electronic devices properly. Maybe we could consider donating them to local schools or charities only if they are still in good condition. Or maybe you could trade them in for credit towards new devices. And if none of these options are possible, dispose them properly. So I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, next. Thank you for that, Miss Eliza, and thank you, Miss Cabildo, for answering the question. Okay, let's see. Miss Santos.
So good afternoon, everyone. So I would like to ask Ms. Cabildo. So you mentioned about the different global initiatives. So how significant are they in terms of formulating policies regarding e-waste management here in our countries? And can you cite some instances?
Okay, so global initiatives, now, as I have mentioned earlier, they play a crucial role in shaping policies related to e-waste management in our country, especially to the other countries around the world. So one such initiative is the Basel Convention, which I have mentioned earlier. So this is an international treaty that aims to reduce the movement of hazardous waste between countries. So however, this kind of solution is uh, does not uh, does not lesser the what we call this one the quality of the other implemented initiatives by the people. So overall, these global initiatives have been instrumental in raising awareness about the growing problems of e-waste and in shaping policies to address it. So by working together, also countries around the world can create a more sustainable future for all. So I hope I was able to answer your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cabildo and Miss Santos. Now, may I call on Miss Tamayo?
So I have a question for the presenter number three from Sheni Sampang. You have mentioned your topic was all about the data retention. So my question is how convenient or threatening data retention is.
Again, can you please repeat the question, please?
How convenient and or threatening data retention is.
Okay, so of course, as I was as there's always two sides of the stones, the positive and negative. So having data retentions allows us to store information, to store data of a certain individuals and organizations, and it helps us for future purposes such as analysis, investigations, and also it helps us identify factors. However, there is also a side note for that, because having data store in a specific file could threaten could risk privacy privacy and security of also an individuals that is involved in a certain of that certain data, because having that it could leak to it could have data leakage, and which is a very crucial or very scary moment that could happen to an individual, because it could lead to identity theft. But of course, we have laws that could safeguard our informations, and with that, as an organization, as an individuals, we must follow a data retention policy so that we can safeguard each privacy that we store. Is it okay? Did I answer your question well?
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Sampang and Miss Tamayo. Now I will call on Miss Peras.
Good afternoon, Shen. In the last part of your report, you've mentioned about policy. So my question would be, is there any law in the country that govern data retention?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Well, the law that we have for data retention is that we follows retention policies. But when it comes to law or the laws that was established by a government, we follow Data Privacy Act or RA 10173. It is an act that safeguards an individual's data so that it cannot be hacked or it cannot or it safeguards an individual's data. While hacking, we cannot really stop that because there are a lot of people. But RA 10173 allows us to to safeguard that data.
Was the question answered, Miss
Yes,
Peras?
yes, thank you. It was very specific. Thank you, Shen.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so thank you, Miss Sampang and Miss Peras. Now I will call on Miss Lawas. Miss Lawas is not around.
I sorry, I was muted. So, good afternoon again. This question is for the second reporter, Miss Clarissa. In an era where personal data is constantly shared online, what what measures should individual take to protect their privacy?
Miss Miasco, your mic is off.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Okay, I will repeat my answer. So first and foremost, the first measure to do for the online, I mean the digital tool users is to read and understand the privacy terms and policies, of course. And before using those digital tools, you have to understand and read first the terms and policies, and then of course. Educate oneself that we should really be responsible in putting or indicating our personal data and information. So that's it.
Okay, so for the next, Miss Baobao, the floor is yours to ask your question.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I have a question for Miss Clarissa. Can you hear me, Miss Clarissa?
Yeah.
Okay. So, my question is, how do you see the future of privacy and security playing out in the context of emerging technologies, and how can we prepare for them?
I can see the future of privacy and security and the emerging technologies. It's more refined, strict, and elevated rules and policies regarding this matter, privacy and security, and of course to continue educate those, especially those normal people who don't, or those having hard time in knowing and being responsible and sharing information. So yes, that's my answer for that.
All right. Thank you, Miss Miasco, and also thank you, Miss Baobao. For the next person to ask their question is Miss Sari.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes,
Ah,
Miss Sari.
so I have a question for Miss Karael in Group 1. So, in today's digital age, there has been a significant growth in the use of digital platforms to express opinions and ideas. So, with that, I would like to clarify how can we ensure that freedom of expression is really protected in the digital age?
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you for your question, Miss Faisa. Well, since we are in the digital world in this generation, independent and diverse media are essential for democracy, such as social networks, content aggregators, and search engines are accessible to every informations to communicate with thousands of people. Now, in order to ensure that we have the freedom, okay, we secure the freedom of expression. So the government, not just the government, the NGOs and other organizations must draft human rights policy principles on network neutrality to ensure internet users have the greatest possible access to content and applications and service of their choice. And the second, promoting the accessibility of internet content to all actual or potential users. And the third one is developing guidelines and best practice to help governments and internet intermediaries acting as media gateway to promote freedom of expression and access to pluralistic. So I hope, Miss Faisa, I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you for that, Miss Karael and Miss Sarip. Okay, I will call on the last person who will ask their question or ask for clarifications. This would be Miss Patriarca. The virtual floor is yours.
Okay, so good afternoon again. This question is for Miss Genevieve. My question is, what are some common forms of internet censorship and used by governments?
Okay, thank you for your question, Miss Rachel. Well, I have mentioned about censorship a while ago, and what are the some of the censorship that is being practiced by the government. So one of these are DNS tampering. In countries with authorities have control over domain name servers, officials can deregister a domain that is hosting nefarious content. So, as explained a while ago, this makes the website invisible to the browsers of users seeking to access the site because it prevents the translation of domain names to the site of IP addresses. And another one is IP blocking. So, governments with control over internet service providers can blacklist certain IP address of website they do not like. When you request access to a site, your request is monitored by surveillance computers, which check your request again against a list of blacklisted IP address. Okay, those are the some of the practices that the government is performing. Thank you, Miss Rachel, for asking. I hope I answer it well.
Thank you, Jenny.
Okay, so thank you, speakers, and thank you for the volunteers who asked their questions. So, thank you, everyone. Were your curious minds filled in? With our time swiftly dwindling, let's conclude with brief closing statements from the speakers. Let us start from Ms. Karael.
Hello. Miss Dwesha, can you repeat again the question? I mean the
We will start with a short concluding statement.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. Now, I talked about freedom of expression and censorship a while ago. So I think one of the best thing that we can do as future teachers, as I have mentioned, that we must be the motivator and we should be the one to perform the policies mentioned a while ago. So especially in posting on social media about our personal informations, which might lead to bad intentions from other peoples who was able to ruin our reputations, which is very timely and relevant. So I hope teachers, future teachers, we must be accountable and responsible in using social medias at all times. Thank you.
Miss Miasco.
Okay, so for conclusion, I was talking about privacy and security. So all in all, privacy pertains to our rights and the control in terms of sharing our personal information. And while security is how these information are protected. So the existence of the RA 10173 and other laws also helps protect our privacy security, particularly in the digital world. So to control and protect the unauthorized sharing of sensitive information and personal data. So we really have to be responsible and um, do our part as digital users. So that's it. Thank you.
Miss Sampang.
Hello. So to conclude about surveillance and data retention is that surveillance and data retentions allows us helps us in many ways. However, there's also a threat to it, a risk and a debating and a discussions to tackle about with regards to data surveillance and data retentions. So in that we must always be mindful in what we store in you and storing data, and also mindful in the surveillance because it captures in our everyday life, and also so that we cannot risk or we cannot violate the privacy of others.
Miss Cabildo.
Okay, so a while ago I have talked about the e-pollutants from e-waste, and again, reducing e-waste is not just about protecting our environment, but it's about creating a sustainable future for generations to come. So we should all remember that you can do your part by properly disposing of your electronic devices. So change always starts within you. So let's take action and create a better tomorrow. That would be all. Thank you.
So, thank you very much, esteemed speakers, for your profound contributions. So, the speakers today have covered a broad spectrum of crucial topics shaping our digital landscape. Each presentation underscores the complex interplay between digital rights and societal values. Further, a stark reminder was given of the environmental implications intertwined with our technological advancements. So, together, the speakers have shed light on the various challenges and responsibilities we face in navigating the digital era. And now I'll pass the virtual floor to Mr. Paraiso to give the closing remarks. Okay, so I guess Sir Paraiso has equally important matters to attend to. So with that, we conclude this enriching forum. Thank you to our speakers, facilitators, audience, and our technical team for their invaluable participation. Until next time, let's continue our pursuit of an informed, responsible digital landscape. Thank you once again, and God bless.